Hey friends, welcome back to another Seed Talk episode. Hey Layne.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. It's the candy season. And although for me, it's the marigold,
Yes.
gourd. I mean, I think of all the crops that we are usually still in abundance. And I love giving those away as Halloween candy. You know what? Surprisingly, kids love it. Kids
Oh, I
really, really
bet.
love it.
I bet.
So, friends, welcome to another episode with I'm Lisa and she's Layne. If you
Yes.
are watching us over on our YouTube channel, you can see us, right? And some people just kind of like seeing who they're listening to. Plus, Layne always puts together a beautiful slideshow. So if you've never checked it out, head over to YouTube, subscribe, and you'll never miss another one. So, friends, this podcast is made possible by thegardenersworkshop.com, where we invite you to drop in anytime because we have a lot of good stuff over there. So, Layne, what are we talking about on Halloween?
Well, we're going to be talking about another one of those crops, just like you mentioned. That is, I think this might be the cutest crop for this time of year. It has a very fun name as well, and it's going to be pumpkin on a stick. And if you don't know what that is, you can head over to YouTube to see what it looks like. Lisa is flashing some on the screen right now. We're obviously going to
Yeah.
have a presentation with pictures. Is it not the cutest
Let
Halloween
me tell
candy
you,
crop?
I can remember clear as day the first time I ever saw it. And it was actually at a grocery store. And I bought them.
Oh,
Like, what the heck is this? I have to figure out I had never seen it, or maybe that's back before the internet, y'all. Can you imagine that? I mean, the internet was just starting. I'd only been farming for a few years. And oh my goodness, I fell in love and I've grown it ever since.
yeah, and it's actually an ornamental eggplant for
Yes.
anyone wondering what exactly it is.
Yeah. So let's jump in.
Okay, Lisa, so why should people consider growing pumpkin on a stick if they're home gardeners or if they're flower farmers?
Well, as a home gardener, if you want to have the coolest decorations on the block, you have to have pumpkin on a stick.
Yeah.
So I want to also say that we love it green even before it turns red. And if you're a flower farmer, this is a high value crop. And you can sell it to everybody you sell to, from commercial florists to supermarkets, your bouquet people, your farmers market. I mean, it's a very vast market, and it's a long lasting. So in the imaging, again, you have to go over to YouTube and look at these pictures. So the image on the right that shows it green, because they're so abundant, we pinch these plants to make them branch more. And it is not uncommon for them to be like 4 feet tall in the garden. So you have plenty of stem length. And just like a tomato, they get a little insignificant bloom and then a fruit follows. And what I've learned is they bloom first deep down on the plant. Just ignore those. Just keep growing them because you don't need them. You don't want these in July necessarily, right? However, green you can use any time of the year. So we just kind of ignore those first ones and let them grow on. And we get like 5 to 8 nice stems off of each plant. And as I mentioned, it's a high value plant. However, it does have thorns. So you just need to be aware of that. We use a florist knife to just, one person that's, agile with a knife just pops those off. But as a flower farmer, this is a great late summer fall crop, and they're quick. I think if I remember right, I think it's like 70 days from seed to produce. So you can plant this midsummer to get your late fruit, and it's just amazing.
It is. And just to describe what it looks like to anyone that's listening rather than watching, it's these sticks, these stems, and they are loaded with these little, probably 2 to 3 inch eggplants, but they look just like miniature pumpkins. The shape of them looks like pumpkins, and they start off green and then they age to these shades of orange and sort of a scarlet red, and they really just look like pumpkins on a stick, hence their name.
Exactly. And I mean, you can see in the image that they're defoliated also, because we really have a flea beetle problem here on our farm because we grow amaranth and they decimate the foliage. But that's okay because you remove all the foliage before, because you want to expose the fruits. So yeah, it is, and it dries. So that's what's happening here. on these ones that I was showing earlier that I have up, is they're starting to dry and they'll last into, I mean, you'll get through to Thanksgiving at least, to have them. So it's just a great crop.
It is, and they can be used on the stick, they can be left on the stem, or you could actually pluck those little pumpkins off if you wanted to display them in a bowl or something.
Yeah, I see that the image on the right actually shows that. Yes, that's really like you could just fill a bowl, a little crystal bowl, and put it on your table. It's just a lot of fun.
It is. And the one thing I do like about leaving them on the stick is it just has a really whimsical look. And most people probably have never seen it before. So it's
Yeah.
just something that's very interesting and fun and different.
And that's why it's such a high value crop. I mean, people, two stems of that in a sleeve at a supermarket would fly out I mean, literally fly out the door. This is one of those crops that, when you focus on a season, like these are fall focused, you see that if you'd have had time to grow more of these and you have the market, why would you maybe grow less summer? Why wouldn't you grow less summer when your market may be slower to rev up to have this ready for fall? I mean,
Yeah.
it's just an idea.
Lisa, you mentioned the flea beetles, and there is one other pest that you've unfortunately experienced on this year. Who ate your pumpkins, Lisa?
Oh my goodness. So I have felt pretty good about deer resistance, saying that the deer don't eat them until this year. And in fact, I mean, we had deer pressure this year that we have never had before. One of my neighbors must have done something different, and it pushed them over our way. But they, in fact, ate the fruit right off the plants because the plants have thorns, so they have to be a
Yeah.
little ginger about it. So now they're going to be in our segregated area where we have deer fencing, so we can protect from that.
So just beware of that if you are someone that deals with a lot of deer pressure.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, so how should people space the plants, Lisa? And then you already mentioned that you do tend to pinch them to help encourage more branching.
So and as you can see in this image, this is a different variety of eggplant. This is what we called, was it garden egg? I think is what that
Yes,
was
striped
called.
garden egg.
They're literally like little eggs, but they're white with green stripes, and then they age to orange, just like the pumpkins do. And they were a really great, and some you might be able to find them online, but they grow the same as pumpkin on a stick. And we pinch both of them after they've been in the garden and are well established. We only put 2 rows in a 30-inch wide bed. And we stagger those. They definitely benefit from support because, especially if you get a lot of heavy pumpkins on the top, they can topple in a torrential downpour. We only put them 6 inches apart because we're only putting 2 rows in a bed. And, pinching just gets you more branches because this is one of those crops that when you cut these stems, there's not really time for more stems to pop up. So you want to get as many stems going as early as possible.
Okay, so when are these little pumpkins or stems of pumpkins ready to harvest, Lisa? And you've already mentioned that you actually like to use them even when they're still green.
Sure. So depends on how desperate we are for flowers. I mean, if we're late summer, the image on the left showing the green pumpkins, they just haven't started to color up yet. And they really last a really long time at that stage too. If we're looking for something unique to pop up the end of the summer bouquets, we'll start cutting them if we have an abundance of crop. That's the thing you always have to keep in mind. It's like, all right, if you have 2 tons of pumpkin on a stick coming in and you're thinking, you know what, I may never sell all them as orange pumpkins, let me start cutting them earlier to actually spread out the sales, right? And to make sure you get them all. So I love cutting them when they're green. And then the image on the right shows them completely orange. Now, if you're having a rainy year, they can tend to rot if they aren't happy. If you have 2 weeks of rainy, cloudy weather, that could be a problem. That's only happened to us one year, but you have to keep an eye on that. But I like letting them get fully orange out in the garden and bring them in, and they do really well.
Can you talk a little bit more about the vase life? And is there a color that seems to last longer? Do they last longer if they're green or longer if they're orange or red? Or have you noticed it's pretty much the same?
I think it's pretty much the same, and it more depends on the weather conditions. Rain and cloudy just predisposes, just like it does all fruit and vegetables, I mean, or anything that even buds. And so these were pretty orange when I brought them in. I'm just feeling them right now. And they're still pretty firm. So these were 3 weeks old. I cut these and thought, oh my gosh, we have so many pretty pumpkin on a stick. Well, this is all I got. So, because the deer ate them. These were used fresh for 3 weeks, and then I just literally laid them on the counter here to dry, and they're still holding up. So, and this has been a dry year. So, drier, I think, conditions is better for long haul of the actual fruit.
And did you keep those particular stems when you were using them fresh? Were they in a bucket with water as you would
Yes.
normally do?
Yep. Just regular water. Yes.
And what time did you plant these particular plants in order to have them at this time of year?
So I think that was probably our third succession, which for us would be like late June, 1st of July. And we planted out, 6-week old, 4 to 6 week old, nice sized plants.
And then, like you already mentioned before, just beware, there are some pretty big thorns on these plants. So
Yes.
how do you deal with that when you're harvesting and trying to strip the stems?
Because I'm grabbing them down low, I'm just trying to think. I don't know if the stems or if the thorns seem to be more populated at the top part of the stems. But I mean, I just keep my eyes open. First off, we wear gloves, but thorns go through the gloves that we wear if you aren't strategic. But I look before I reach it down there and grab. And I'm typically cutting really low on the plant because, again, that would be the best place to get a regrowth if you had time for regrowth. And I'm looking for all the stem length I can get. So you just have to be cautious and careful. I asked, funny enough, I texted Dave Dowling and I said, you know what? I bet flower farmers have some great little hack for getting those thorns off. And I'm going to find out. I texted Dave and he texted me back. I asked him, I said, hey, how do flower farmers get those thorns off the pumpkin on a stick? He texted back. He said, very, very carefully. That's all he said. So there is no magic.
Yeah.
If y'all know a magic tip, let us know in the comments over on YouTube.
Yes, exactly.
So I pulled out my florist knife, which looks like a pocket knife, but it's super sharp. And I know a lot of florists use them instead of clippers, and did it. And I made myself bleed. So I'm not allowed to do it anymore.
Oh, no.
Not on the thorn, but on the knife.
Yeah.
It's just a nice crop that people are really, even people that don't want flowers want this.
Oh, yeah.
Pair this with some hairy balls. I'm
Oh,
telling
yeah.
you, there are so many cool crops to have for fall that you could just finish off your season with a big old bang if you focus on them and get them planted.
All right. Well, that does it for this pumpkin on a stick episode. Is this something you grow, or do you grow any other types of ornamental eggplant? Let us know in the comment section over on YouTube or using the form linked in the show notes. And as always, please be sure to follow or subscribe wherever you're watching or listening so you won't miss any of our future episodes. And thank you so much again for joining us here on Seed Talk.
All right, friends, we are going to wrap it up. And if we can help you, remember, you'll find us over at thegardenersworkshop.com. Till we meet again, friends. Ciao.
Bye.